Size perception. In this section, we will discuss those mechanisms that are involved in judging the size of the stimuli. Our ability to judge the size of the stimuli correctly, even with the change in the distance, has been explained using three hypotheses: the size distance invariance hypothesis, familiar size hypothesis, and direct perception hypothesis. Size distance invariance hypothesis. The basic premise of this hypothesis is that the perceived size of the stimulus is proportional to the perceived distance. It further states that if information about the distance is available, then size of the stimuli is interpreted based on the retinal image. However, if the information about the distance is not available, then size of the stimuli is judged based on the visual angle alone. The mathematical expression of this relationship is as follows: S prime divided by D prime is equal to F theta, where S prime is perceived size, D prime is perceived distance, and theta is visual angle. Visual angle is an angle made by our eyes after looking at an object. Familiar size theory. This cue is used to judge not only size but also the distance and depth of the stimuli. We know the visual angle for a stimulus decreases with the decrease in the distance. Our brain uses this information, that is visual angle, along with our previous information of the size of the targeted stimulus and determines its actual size, distance, and depth. Thus, according to this theory, familiar size influences our size perception, which in turn influences distance perception. However, later two psychologists proposed that the theory of familiar size is valid in all conditions. When the condition of viewing is improvised, then we use egocentric reference distance to determine the size of the familiar object. Theory of direct perception. Gibson in 1979 proposed the theory of direct perception. His ideas regarding size perception were summarized by Epstein in 1982 as: there is no perceptual representation of size correlated with the retinal size of the object. Perceived size and perceived distance are independent functions of information in the stimulation. And lastly, perceived size and perceived distance are not causally linked, nor is the perception of size mediated by operations combining information about retinal size and perceived distance. The correlation between perceived size and perceived distance is attributed to the correlation between specific variables of stimulation which governs these percepts in the particular situation.